Nope, I'm not practicing a driving scene. This is the HaloRig, and it may look simple, but this is probably the fastest and simplest way to take your handheld footage from looking amateur to looking pro. So let's check it out. So the first thing to address is that, yeah, you could probably make something like this yourself in some crazy DIY way that would basically get you the same results and maybe save you a little bit of money. But for me, and maybe for some other people who don't want to go through the hassle, having something like this that is made specifically for that purpose is really the best way to go. The basic idea of the HaloRig is to move your hands away from your camera so that way your little imperfect movements don't affect the actual footage all that much, and you'll still maintain that handheld feel, but it will be a bit smoother, or I guess you could say a bit more professional looking. It's a little bit of math, but if you think about it, if you're holding your camera here and your hands move, let's say up and down, like a centimeter or whatever, the actual angle that it's tilting your camera is fairly significant, and you're definitely going to notice that in your footage. But if you move your hands out further and you move them up and down the same amount, so the same amount of shakiness, the angle that it's going to be affecting that camera in the center is much less severe, so that's not going to show up in your footage as much. So you're still going to keep that handheld feel because you are hand holding it. If you're moving or if you're walking, it's still going to be your movements and you have direct control over the camera, but those little bit of imperfections will not affect the actual camera itself quite as much. Having image stabilization in your lens will kind of do something on a similar idea where it takes those little imperfections out of your footage, but having something like the HaloRig will take that even a step further, especially if you combine it with a lens that already has image stabilization in it. Anyway, let's take a look at some sample footage with walking, running, spinning, picking up something like some action type movements, some little smaller action type movements with both the HaloRig and handheld. You can also see this footage in my larger stabilizer comparison video, which I will link to down in the video description. So it is a subtle effect, but I really like it. And I think it's, that little bit extra that will really take your footage and bring it a whole lot higher in terms of production value. So obviously it's easy to use, it's comfortable to hold, you can add accessories on it really easily. But let's take a closer look at the HaloRig itself and talk about the design, the build quality, things like that. The bottom is made of metal to be solid and sturdy, but the bar that you hold onto is much lighter weight material to keep the overall weight down. At first, I did think it felt a little bit cheap, but now I really appreciate the lightweight design, and it has held up to quite a lot of abuse of me throwing it in my car, falling out of my car, falling off tables, and of course some normal use too. There's a single screw on the bottom to attach the included quick release plate, or another, like this Manfrotto compatible one that I've been using from HaloRig, and it's actually nice and easy to screw that in. There's like a little cork pad on top of the bar that helps to avoid twisting. There are some holes on the top bar where you can slide in some screws and screw in some cold shoe mounts or whatever you want really, and I just wish that these could have been standard threaded screw holes, or at least have both types of connections on here so it was easier to use with parts that I have from HaloRig, for example, which typically screw in from the top side. It does the trick though, and of course you could use other types of mounts on here like this one from 9 Dot Solutions, which actually work incredibly well and lets you quickly but securely attach things in pretty much any position you want on here. There's also a female screw thread on the bottom of that screw where you screw in your quick release plate, so you could add one more plate under there and set it down on a tripod if you wanted to. So like I said, I know that you could DIY this, but honestly having a really solid and purpose-made and honestly less DIY looking solution like the HaloRig has been really great, and I don't think that I'm ever going to go handheld on a professional shoot again without using this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will do my best to get back to you. If you liked this video or found it helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to see more in the future, and don't forget to hit that little bell icon to get notifications when new content is uploaded. As always, thank you for watching.